Good afternoon and good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Today, we're delighted to bring you a session on cybersecurity and how to stay safe online. To take you through this presentation, I am joined by my friends here at Connected Canadians. We have Jesse, Ken, Caitlin, and Tanya, and they are going to give a presentation as well as moderate and answer any of your questions that come up throughout the session. As proven experts in the area of technology, Connected Canadians is a national nonprofit organization with the mandate to provide technology training and support freely to all Canadian seniors, fostering digital literacy skills and reducing isolation and loneliness. By 2030, their goal is for all Canadian seniors to have access to free technology training and support. Through partnerships with retirement residences and senior serving organizations, they support older adults by providing tailored remote workshops, one-to-one training sessions, device donations and lending, as well as many other custom programs centered around entertainment and art. If you'd like more information on Connected Canadian services or to schedule a one-to-one technology support session, their website and toll-free number has been shared in the chat box for your record. As we move through the presentation, please feel free to pop in any questions you have into the chat. I've been on sessions with Connected Canadians before, and they are super interactive. We look forward to hearing all of your questions and comments. Now I'll turn it over to you, Jesse, to get started.
Thank you for that, Natasha. And good afternoon to all of you. It's nice to be with you and have a chance to speak right now. I am Jesse, and while going through this, I am happy at any point in time to answer questions as we go. My goal is to make sure that all of you get out of this what you want. And so if you have questions specifically, I don't mind taking tangents as long as it needs to make sure that we get to the points and the topics that are of interest to you and that might cause you some concern. Because ultimately, today's topic does involve issues of personal security and safety that I understand can be worrying at times, especially because cybersecurity just works a little different. But today we're going to get a chance to think about how staying safe involves a lot of the types of good habits that you probably use in your life already. So just being able to think things through. I like to think of trust but verify often. And as we go through this, hopefully I'll be able to make sure that all of you stay happy and engaged the whole time. So as we do this, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and my colleagues, they'll be able to answer things in chat. I'm also going to chime in because I'll be watching that at the same time. So as we go through, you'll see me with some slides up on screen now, and I'm just going to start sharing those now. I will say that those other people answering in chat that you'll see, they're colleagues of mine with Connected Canadians. So we're all happy to be here doing this. We help people across the country, giving them information and empowering them to use digital technology to live fuller lives, more independent lives, and more connected lives, because we think all of that is both possible and a good thing. So when it comes to cybersecurity, today, we're going to cover a few things. The most important thing is learning how to avoid scam emails and messages by taking your time and asking some questions before you engage with them. And that's important because this is often the most common way that your personal information gets compromised. Rarely will people try to, there's no really online robberies. Like, you don't need to worry about somebody breaking in and stealing the files off your computer. Usually the thing that's of the most interest to people, let's say people without your best interest at heart online, they're often looking for your personal information. And to get that personal information from you, one of their most common tools is something called phishing. So we're going to talk about what that is. And once we understand what it is, we'll talk about how to recognize a phishing scam. It's also important, I think, once this happens, to know that you can do something about it. So how you report those phishing emails that you get is sometimes a good thing to follow up on. And this is not just about learning. Sometimes it's about doing and practicing. So we've got some tips and tricks on how to actually protect yourself, not just knowing what to do, but actually, maybe being able to do something new. So phishing, that's not a typo you see there. It's a portmanteau. So like a word that's put together of two separate words. So the PH, that's phony. Phony phishing. It's when somebody attempts to get information from you. And think of it this way: you are the fish, and the email or the messages, whatever the communication is, the digital interaction, that's the bait, and they want you to take the bait. The goal of that phishing is to get your identity or money. Oftentimes one leads to the other as well. So you think if a lot of your identity is compromised, that could get used by someone to say, open a credit card under your name, but they use it. Things like that can happen. So that's what phishing is trying to do. But what's personal information? I know that's kind of obvious, like your name, and maybe your social insurance number, but there's lots of other things that go along with this. And it's important to think that information that's personal just to you includes things like passwords for your email account, for any banking that you do. That doesn't just mean if you do online banking, but even your PIN for using a debit card. It's information about you on social media, including your password. Sometimes if you've logged on to particular shopping sites, you may have created accounts there. And perhaps most obviously, one of your pieces of personal information is your credit card, but not just the card itself or the card number itself, but that CVV on the back and the postal code. Bank account details, your driver's license number, all of these things are important and should be protected. I think anything that goes in your wallet, you probably don't want to be sharing with other people. Now, how does this work? How does somebody try to get this information out of you? Because obviously you're not going to get sent a message that says, hello, I work in a, shady basement content mill that tries to scam people, and I would like to scam you. That would be a pretty strange tactic. So people have to go around this in a way that usually relies on a type of social engineering. So they know how you act, how humans act, and then they try to exploit weaknesses in that. It'll often begin by getting a legitimate sounding email or a text message. And right away, that email probably has a few things in it. One, the idea to instill a sense of fear or sympathy. Maybe it's, hi, this is your nephew so-and-so, and my car just broke down. I don't want to tell mom, can you send me money? It could have a fake sense of urgency. I need something right now. This is an email from the CRA demanding that you pay your taxes back within 48 hours, or we will issue a warrant for your arrest. It could also be demands or requests to click a link or download a program. Maybe I have even seen emails that look like, let's say, like it comes from Microsoft saying, warning, your computer is compromised. Please click on this link and follow this to begin the antivirus process. But it's not actually from Windows, and it's more likely to be a virus than to help you get rid of one. Things like that. These often will, again, trick you into sending money, gift cards, Bitcoins, or they'll trick you into installing that program. So when you click on the thing that's supposed to remove viruses, it might actually be one that takes your information. Things like that can happen frequently. And these are all phishing attempts. So how does it work? Well, when it comes to this idea of social engineering, it's true that often when you get these messages from what seems like a legitimate source, the panic can feel real. Now, regardless how panicked you feel or how urgent the email seems, if you don't remember ordering something, if you don't have information about the specific thing, the email is probably fake. Like if I got a text message from my friend who was driving and ran out of gas and his credit card doesn't work, and he's asking me to send him $60, and I knew, because I talked to him 2 days ago, that my friend was driving to go see me, and I know that he's the kind of person to, lose his wallet. Like if I have context like that, if I can remember these things, there's a good chance that it's true. That's situationally specific. But if I didn't have that context, if it came out of nowhere, if I didn't remember ordering a thing and then I got an email saying, you'd better pay, your payment to Amazon didn't go through, that email is actually fake. right off the bat, 10 times out of 10. That is a great way to know if you don't remember doing it, don't trust it. And similarly, you never want to click on those phishing links because often clicking on a link is all that it takes. So receiving an email, just like a text-based one, that's not enough to compromise you, just having it in your inbox. It's when you interact with it that problems can start to happen. And so unless you're 1,000% sure where something comes from, you don't want to click on those links. And you certainly never want to download a program that's attached in your email. Now, that's not just something that's a program. I have seen things that look like they're document files, that look like they're PDFs, which is a common way of transmitting documents. So they're sent as attachments on emails, but what they contain is not actually just a document. So if you're receiving files from someone that you weren't expecting, or that you don't trust the source of, I would not open those files. I just would not. So this might sound worrying. You think to yourself, well, how can I actually prepare myself for when something like this happens? And it's good to have a look at what an actual phishing email looks like. So this is one that was received by one of my colleagues that supposedly is coming from Apple. So a large reputable company that has a service called iTunes that people can actually purchase things from. So this is a subscription confirmation email. And I'm sure you can imagine if you have an iPad or you have an iPhone and you were to receive this email and you say, oh, wait, all access pass for $11. I didn't order that. Oh, no. So there's a worry perhaps created that you, actually, so the pass is $11.13, but down there, the price, $38. I could really use $38. Who's using my money and signing up for things? I didn't do this. It's going to renew unless I cancel. Well, I better click here to cancel my subscription. I'm going to click on that to save myself money. That might be the natural reaction. But if you stop and think about this, you can start to see what looks like suspicious signs that I can tell you lead to the confirmation that this is not a legitimate email. For one, while it uses the term Apple up at the top, it's not actually an Apple email. See, what you see is this appletunesid.onmicrosoft.com. So it's sort of a made up website address. There's a reason why. So these things, well, for example, anybody ever play Monopoly, like the board game? You know, real estate is very valuable. And it's true with digital realestate.com. So apple.com, that's what we call, this is fancy speak, you're going to learn a new term here, a top level domain. A top level domain, that's like buying Boardwalk. Apple, the company, paid good money to own apple.com. And they make sure that all of their communications actually go through that. This made up strange sounding thing, Apple, iTunes, ID, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's Baltic Avenue right there. And that is the kind of address that's maintained by somebody who's not legitimate. I mean, and also right in the email, it references Microsoft, like that on Microsoft. Apple and Microsoft, they don't like each other. They wouldn't like, there's nothing like this that would ever really exist. They would have very separate walled off gardens. Apple orders actually usually come from something that just says email.apple.com. And the sent to email address is not actually the right one. So this says it's sent to service. This is a made up thing generated by a bulk email program that probably sends out tens, if not hundreds of thousands of these emails, hoping to catch you. You know, it's sort of, again, with the phishing metaphor, it's casting a wide net, hoping to snare just one or two people who click on that link thinking, oh, I didn't order anything. I'd better cancel my subscription. But you know what? There never was a subscription. And the clicking is when the hook gets you. Another thing that you can do to sort of examine any emails you get is to hover over links. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you see here, actually, let's go back to this. what you see here, see where it says click here? That blue text with the underline is what's called a hyperlink. And so that actually leads somewhere. Clicking on that would lead you to a website or a file that's stored online. And the trick with those is no matter how legitimate it looks, so here this one says visit Apple support. It might say Apple support with a line underneath it, but if you hover your mouse over that, this is what shows up. This sign.refund hyphen, I mean, it's a word salad. So that rather untrustworthy link is hiding in the hyperlink that says Apple support. So it's a very phony attempt to convince you to do something. It appears like it's an Apple link, but it's actually to something else. Also, you'll see at the top, and I find this too, there's a prompt to translate the text from Hungarian. That means that when this email came to Gmail, it detected Hungarian content. So that means somebody probably sent this from Hungary or a Hungarian computer, not actually from Apple Canada. So if there was just one of these things that seemed a little off, maybe that could be a typo. Maybe it's a poorly worded email, but when you start to see this many signs that are a problem, I would become very worried. I would become immediately suspicious when I saw these many spelling mistakes in a professional email that's supposedly from a real company. So your account is one word. To cancel your subscription and get refund instead of get a refund. Little things like that, they add up. So what can you do? Well, the first thing you can do when you get these emails is block the sender so you don't get any more from them. So to block a sender in mail, oh, one moment. How do you hover? Good question. How do you hover on an iPad with no mouse? Oh, Ken's answering right now. Ken is an iPad expert. I'm here to sort of help with your Android or Windows questions, but as he's typing it out for Apple, I can say that for an Android device, like let's say you have a smartphone, the way that you can bring up that, this can be tricky and it requires a little sort of maybe sensitive motion. When I have a hyperlink on my smartphone, if I press and hold it, that brings up what's called like a secondary or contextual menu. So I don't just tap a link, because that's how, like one click is how you access it. But if you're on a touch screen on an Android device, you press and hold it. And then it will bring up another screen that shows sort of what's hiding underneath. So if you have a mouse, you can hover over it. But if it's just a touch screen, it's that pressing and holding that brings up additional information about the link. Now I'm just going to show everyone here a quick video, since a lot of people end up using iPhones. This is a video. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sharing my sound right now. So let's change that. So we're going to just quickly look at how you can block a sender.
Here's how to block a sender and cut down on unwanted email. To turn this feature on, go to Settings and tap Mail. Tap Blocked Sender Options. Then, choose what to do with emails from blocked senders. Now, here's how to block a sender's email address. In an email you'd like to block, tap the sender's address, then tap it again. Tap Block this contact, then tap Block this contact again to confirm. Now, future emails from this sender will go straight to the trash or be marked as blocked in your inbox based on the option you selected. Now, they're blocked. Here's how to block a sender.
So that makes sense to everyone, hopefully. This video here is something that if that went through too quick for you, if you are iPhone users, I know that we're able to provide that either, I think Ken can put that directly in the chat, or we can send that to Natasha afterwards. So that way that if you're interested in that, that's a great simple walkthrough of how you can do that with iPhones. I want to show you one of the other ways that people try to perform social engineering. This is another example of an email. And in this case, it's something that was received, well, back in 2020 by a different one of my colleagues. And it's, thanks for responding. I'm sorry for bothering you with this mail. I need to get Google Play gift cards for my niece. It's her birthday, but I can't do this now because my knees are giving me problems as well. I'm going up and down one step at a time. This method is neither graceful, exclamation mark, or fast, exclamation mark, comma. And I tried purchasing online, but unfortunately no luck with that. Can you get it from any store around you? I'll pay back. Kindly let me know if you can handle this. Best regards. Be well and stay safe, love. So this is an email that seemingly came from one of Taz's friends. So Taz Davin is our colleague. This came from her friend's email address, but her friend's email address had been compromised. And so sometimes when people are looking for your personal information in terms of phishing, they might not be stealing your information. They might be most interested in your contacts so that they can then send out emails like this to other people you know. And they are looking for those gift cards, but there's problems here with this as well. This email address, well, you know what, for one, it's not one that Taz recognized, because email addresses are often like mailing addresses. They don't change a whole lot. You know, once you've got it, you know that's where your mail comes from. I have had the same email address since 1998. I don't use that one that much because it's a silly sounding one that, you know, a teenager had, but I still have that email address. And I know that if I were to get something, you know, that's just to say that these things, they last a long time. If I got an email like that, for one, it sounds generic. They're like, it capitalized niece, but didn't actually say the niece's name. Some of the information is correct. You know, maybe Taz knew that Bob's knees are fine, so there'd be no problem going up and down stairs. And, you know, the grammar just seems off. A lot of this, again, comes from the fact that these emails are sometimes generated in different countries. They're generated by people who maybe are just using machine learning to do, like, it's made by a machine so that they can put in the one master message and then it appears in 20 different languages. And if I'm being honest, sometimes asking for money via suspicious sources from families is its own concern. In my experience, families and friends don't trade Bitcoins. I don't need to send my sister an Amazon gift card if she asks for money. I just send her money. But the reason why you send Amazon gift cards or somebody asks for that is because these things are usually harder to track. And then once they're cashed out, they don't have the same kind of money trail or paper trail behind them. I also find that financial favors are more appropriate for a phone conversation anyway. I have needed money at different times in my life, and I know I have never just sent a text to somebody. If you get a text from someone, even if it looks like it seems like it's coming from a legitimate source, give them a call back. If it's important enough that they are asking you about money in some form, it's worth a call back. Now, when this starts to happen, let's say you get that email from a friend, the first thing you can do is call your friend and inform them. I think that's a good way to verify this. It can at times just be legitimate. Oh, so-and-so actually does need me to pitch in for the family Yankee swap because we're all just buying these presents, whatever. That kind of thing could be legitimate. And then you can follow up. But if it's not legitimate, your friend really should change their passwords, because if an email looks like it's coming from someone else, chances are one of their accounts has been compromised. And you should then also tell your other friends in the circle about the potential scam. You can also block the sender, as we saw on Apple. And once you've blocked people, since I think that's always a good idea, the question is, well, how do you stop this from happening? Because you can do that too, or at least you can mitigate it. You can lessen the likelihood this is going to happen to you. I find it really useful to ignore communications from unknown contacts. Block suspicious senders and don't reply to spam messages. So this is a thing. Do not reply to spam messages. Now, that said, let's say you do know that you signed up for something. So I wanted to get 10% off at Home Depot, so I agreed to sign up for their newsletter. I know that happened. And so then when I get the newsletter and I don't want it, I see there's a button at the bottom that says unsubscribe. Great, I'll unsubscribe. But what would happen if I got an email that looked like flyers from, what is that? Tesco. So I know, just from reading the news, Tesco is a British supermarket chain. I have never been to England. And so if I were to get a flyer like sign up for, you're now getting our weekly deals at Tesco, and I got an email that said that, but at the bottom there's a button that says unsubscribe. Well, I know I've never subscribed to that anyway. So even that unsubscribe button could be a trick. So that's why sometimes it's important to say not even to spam messages unsubscribe, because that's again a type of social engineering. You might have been told or learned at some point, I can reduce the amount of spam I get by unsubscribing to newsletters. So I will do that good thing because I don't like getting this junk in my box. But in the case of phishing emails, even that type of fake newsletter could be a lure. So block, delete, and if you don't know exactly where it came from, don't even unsubscribe. Does that make sense to everyone? Hopefully. I'm just looking at chat right now to make sure that this is, oh, one moment. Okay, great. So we've got that link up as well. Now, one other thing, this is something I myself have saved. So I am going to actually share with you a quick little example that's from this is my own experience. We're going to go share my screen. And I have saved my own email. Oh, I went to the wrong. I got to find the right one. Did I put it in spam? So I have saved my own email that is about this. Oh my gosh. I'm embarrassed now because I know that I have the folder right here, but now I need to figure out where it is. So I have a good friend that actually got, they got scammed. Their account was itself infected. And it might be too old. It might be gone now because I used to have that right here. So what happened to my friend was I got a generic email that actually said simply, hi, this is Marta, and I need your help getting together a surprise gift for my friend, Alton. So Alton actually was having a birthday, and Marta is actually the kind of person that would get Alton a gift. And his email address had been compromised, sorry, her email address, and he was actually having a birthday. So one of the things that I think is important to realize is that, there's lots of metaphors about this. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And there's more than one way to catch a fish. And sometimes you're going to have that very specific single hook that is almost targeted just for you. Other times there will be emails or messages that are quite obviously fakes. And one of the trickiest things to realize is that if something is obviously a fake to you, you're not the target. There are, however, other messages or other emails that seem much closer to the kind of thing that you would actually have or do. And sometimes those are the trickiest ones to recognize because you yourself are more prone to answer certain things. So maybe you're the kind of person that is always planning surprise birthday parties or sending secret gifts. You just want to do that little thing to make someone feel recognized. There are going to be emails like that that target you. Maybe you're the kind of person who is very on top of your personal finances. And so the moment you see something like that automatic subscription for $13, that might get your hackles up right away, because you know that you're not going to pay for this thing that you don't want to use. And something must have happened and you must have clicked a link and now they're going to take your money and you don't want them to take your money. That's not in the budget. And your mind just starts going. Those types of emails are more targeted towards you. So just because you're good at spotting one kind of them doesn't mean you should think that that's how all phishing attempts work. I think that's important to remember and recognize. Just because I know myself, I often think that I'm like a very sophisticated online person, but that is something that I still have problems with myself. Now, these are ways that we can recognize phishing. I'm going to do, we're going to go back and follow through one more example, and then I'm going to take everyone, if we can, to a website as well. So first, let's get back here into the slides. I want to think about how we can avoid phishing by reviewing this example of a scam email. So this came through from FedEx. It's a delivery alert, missed delivery. FedEx attempted a delivery for shipment. Said a signature could not be collected at the time of delivery, and our priority is the safety and well-being of our customers. That all seems pretty legitimate. This is actually a pretty good-looking email. You can reschedule for delivery online via an electronic copy of the shipping label or by visiting your nearest FedEx location. So right away, I'm seeing here, actually, the spelling is all quite good. This email looks professional in a lot of ways. And sometimes I buy things and I forget that I buy them, or it's supposed to take 3 weeks to get here, but it doesn't arrive for 2 months. So then, 2 months later, you forget. These things happen. So this email may be legitimate. This is one of those more advanced ones. Now look down at the rest of it, though. There's some things that just start to appear just a little different. For one, you have that same message thing that appears a little unusual up at the top. So the French and English thing isn't there. Oh, wait, one moment. Oh, sorry, there was a slide change here. I wanted to show something. This is the second part here that's actually the legitimate one. And I wanted actually, I had some slide change here, so my apologies. The reason why this one looks legit is because I'm not going to the bad slide here. Look at this. Look at this actual thing. This slide is the right version of what was going to Tasneem. And imagine you got an email that said, just generically, there's a box on your front step, or we put a box on your front step, but then somebody stole it. Click here to start the stolen claim package. And that's all it said. It didn't have your address. It didn't have anything else. This was actually just a phishing thing. So something like that could be phishing, but this has a real name. It has a real tracking number. It says FedEx. And in fact, it has genuine information here. And imagine also that this is, see up at the top, FedEx.com. Remember what I was saying? So FedEx, they purchased Boardwalk. They've got their real name. It's not FedEx.ups. WellsFargo.com, just a word salad of a website. This is the real thing up at the top. So this has lots of personal information. It's not asking you to provide your own. It already has it, because when this package would have been shipped, Tasneem would have had to give that out. So that's a good one. Now, this is one of my favorite things to do. And I'll admit that I myself have been pwned. What is that? So this is sort of an internet speak word. To be pwned, you're right. You see, it's like the word owned, but for people typing really quickly, doing stuff online, P is right next to the O. So this is a common spelling mistake for people that are, that have been owned, that have been sort of drugged through the ringer, that have really had their identity taken from them. So haveibeenpwned.com is a website that tracks information from data breaches all around the world. See, a lot of times your personal information is actually lost or compromised in ways that are beyond your control. Let's say you've been really good at protecting all of your personal details, but you like to order, I don't know. Let's say you used to order pizza from Pizza Pizza, and you had this account that you logged into to get online ordering. Well, what happens when Pizza Pizza's account is hacked? What happens when their record of customers is stolen? Because large-scale malicious hackers probably aren't going to target you directly, at least. They'll send out these emails and just hope to 1 million people and hope that they click on them. But a big company is actually a specific target sometimes. There have been big data breaches and hacks at companies like Bell. There was, I remember years ago, a hard drive from a computer at the Canada Revenue Agency that was lost or left behind and then compromised. So quite literally, people's tax information was put out there. These types of rich information, high value targets are more likely who hackers are going to look at. But once that information is out there, the records of where the compromises have happened can be found on this website. So I'm going to show you what this means to go there, and then I'm going to ask, hopefully, all of you to be able to go and do this. So it works off of email addresses. So I'm just going to share my regular screen. I'm going to go to a new tab. Hopefully we can all see this right now. And we are going to go to www.haveibeen PWNED, haveibeenpwned.com. So I've typed that in. And this is all it is. So this is where you can check if your email or your phone number is a part of a data breach. So I will put in one of my email addresses. So, let's actually spell that right. Jesse@connectedcanadians.ca. Have I ever been pwned? Has my information associated with this account ever been compromised? Good news, no pwnage found. So that account has not been compromised. Now, one of my older personal accounts, let's have a look at this. I'll check that. Oh no, they've got me. So this means that my email address has been a part of 2 data breaches. At one point in time in the past, you see here, in 2017, Bell Telecommunications, and this one is actually new right now. So this is the Gravatar. So this is a way that 167 million names and email addresses were scraped and distributed within the hacking community. I mean, like, it gets kind of technical in terms of what's going on, but look at this here. Look at how this has happened. There have been 603 recorded breaches on this site, but that 603, that leads to a whopping 11 billion accounts. 11 billion. Some of these are really big, like just 500 million right here in terms of the one Facebook account one. There was a time where old MySpace accounts. So all of these are some of the biggest ones. Oh, look, Wendy's restaurant. So all of those things add up. Now, I feel comfortable still using this email address because I know that since this has all happened, like quite recently, I have actually changed my password. So those two things go together, and that's an important thing, because just having an email address doesn't matter. That's like knowing your mailing address. Now, if somebody both knows your mailing address and has the key to your front door, that's a much more concerning security proposition. So if somebody has your username and your password for, let's say, your Bell account, and that's what would have been exposed in that, there comes real risks when that email address you use for your Bell account has the same password as that pizza account, as your bank account, like online login. When you start recycling your personal information, if it gets exposed once, that means it's at risk everywhere that uses that same information. So, so Natasha, I mean, like, I also want to show people this to like also encourage all of you, like actually right now, if you're able to do this, I know it's tricky on a mobile device, but I actually would encourage all of you right now, if you're here, to go to that website. Since I know that's tough to type. So, oh, Ken's too quick. He's got it up already. So you can just click on that link, and on that website, put in your email address. I think that oftentimes, and this is true for sort of real world scams as well as for digital ones, sometimes there's some shame or embarrassment at knowing or admitting that you've been the target of a scam like this. And there is no need for embarrassment. There's no need to feel ashamed for that, because this happens to people all the time for reasons that are well beyond their control. And being able to be open about it is actually more important to make sure it doesn't happen to other people. Like, imagine you were that person that got tricked into sending fake Google gift cards, and then you didn't tell your friends, and they then got that same email later and fell for it in the same way. That doesn't make you doubly responsible, but it does mean that there's a chance that you had to share your experience that was a negative one to prevent them from having one. And that's often like a goal. I want people to be able to not only learn from me, but learn from other people who have had these mistakes, had these problems, and in doing so, become better, get better at staying safe. And I just want to say also that this type of safety isn't something I think you should be afraid of. Fear can motivate people to do things, but also I think it can stop people from doing a lot of things too. And I want all of you to feel more empowered and confident in your online interactions, in your communications, and not feel scared of this. My most useful metaphor, I think, is when I go to the mall and I park in a giant parking lot or in a parkade or something, I lock the doors to my car. I don't really think that there are bands of roving thieves going up and down the aisles, but it's just good security hygiene. It's a good habit, even if it's not the kind of thing that could lead to, serious personal harm. I just do these things like as general practice. I lock the doors when I leave my house. I didn't growing up as a kid, and maybe that's a different world that we can wish for, but I do lock the doors to my house now. I do lock the doors to my car when I go to the mall. And these things I don't live in fear when I do these things. I don't worry someone's always going to break into my car. And similarly, when you check your emails, when you just hover over that link, when you think twice about a message that you got sent from a friend, I don't want you to feel scared about this. I want you to feel more in control and knowledgeable, knowing how you can spot these things. And just having that good security hygiene is a great way to keep yourself safe and still do the things you want to do, talk to the people you want to talk to. So that's the last thing. I'm curious, anyone else here been trying? So Natasha, has anyone else had a chance to look at that website? Just checking right now. Oh, so someone else has been compromised too. Oh, good. Aviva's good. And see, this is the thing. It's as natural to go one way or the other. So sometimes people are there, sometimes aren't. The Bell one is a really big one in Canada. That had a lot of people involved. So I know that's probably the most common one when we've done these workshops that people have been in. I'll admit, it'll be interesting. I'd love to see somebody that was compromised in the Wendy's breach. It's a very niche specific one, like just to sort of be out ordering a hamburger, and somehow that could be the thing. Maybe it was a newsletter. So yeah, and so that's fair. That link will be available as well. I know that sometimes going in and out, especially on an iPad, switching from screens can make that can have an effect. But I do encourage all of you to just try this with yours, and maybe even try, if you have like a spouse's email address, your child's email address. These are things that you can check as well. Just sort of a way to check up on people. Oh, Catlin has an old email address with a breach too. So these things just happen. I wanted to be able to take most of this hour to speak to you. I usually try to do about 50 minutes, because then I want to have a chance to be able to answer any questions or address concerns that any of you have. So since we have chat going right now, was there anything that I said today that perhaps wasn't clear, or things that that I could explain more? Or do you have any questions, maybe even unrelated to this, about online security? Perhaps we don't. But I also know that sometimes, so we have someone who did click on a bad link once. Yeah. So one other thing that I'll say, it wasn't covered in this, but I myself am sometimes not the most adept typer. So there's one other thing, I was showing examples of bad email address domains, like the apple.on.microsoft.com, like that's made up stuff. There's another way sometimes that malicious actors can try to fake things. And this is not so much in how much they communicate with you, but still in performing a type of social engineering. The most common one that I can think of, CNN, the website that you go to for news, their website is simply cnn.com. And I don't know if it's still active right now, and I don't want to try to figure this out because who knows what images could appear or stuff. But I remember one time just accidentally quickly typing cmm.com. And when I went to cmm.com, it was very much not the real legitimate website, but it did have a bunch of sort of fake looking, poorly constructed news articles. So if I was maybe not a common CNN.com user and I went to this, I think, oh, well, this is a pretty cruddy looking website, but I want to read the news. So I'll click on this and I'll click on that and I'll go through. And that whole website existed as a type of sort of phishing hole, let's say. So it exploited people's natural ability to mistype common websites and then had stuff that really didn't look legitimate as well. So that's just another sort of thing to watch out for. If you go to a website and think, well, this doesn't look right, this doesn't look like the thing I was expecting, sometimes, just check your spelling. Autocorrect doesn't work up in that address bar like it does when you're typing out a text message or in an email. So that's something to always watch out for when you're putting in email address. That's one more thing that it's another place things like that can happen that I think it's worth remembering. Any other questions that I could answer maybe for you, Natasha, or anything at Sienna that you and your team have experienced or helped with in the past?
No, I think we're good. I definitely think it's been informative. I've been following along and testing out my cybersecurity here, and definitely have a few people on my list that I think should watch this later. So thank you so much for all the information.
Good, good. I'm happy to help. I'm glad this went well. And I will say that if any of you have any, oh, there we go. Tanya just put it up in the chat. If any of you do want to perhaps schedule like a one-on-one support session, if this perhaps either became overwhelming or you want to do more like this, our, let's say, signature service beyond the workshops that we offer Connected Canadians are these support sessions with technology mentors. And so that lets you address particular problems you might have or learn new skills that you want to acquire with our mentors in a one-on-one setting. So it over the phone, over a video call, however you're most comfortable. You can do that either by going to our website, which is connectedcanadians.ca /programs, or you can give us a call. Our numbers are there, both toll-free and in the Ottawa area. So if you want to get in touch with us, we would love to hear from you and continue helping you become more savvy and digitally literate.
Great. Well, I just want to thank my friends here from Connected Canadians for delivering this presentation today. As I mentioned, it's been most helpful. I hope all of the participants enjoyed it as well. And we look forward to meeting with everyone again next month. So take care, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Wonderful.
Bye,
Bye everyone.
Thank you all so much. Have a great one.
Thank you. Have a great day.